What is up, everybody, and welcome into the Denver Sports Podcast, March Madness edition. I'm Adam Matos, hosting you from DNVR Nuggets. Oh, there you go, little air horns, man. Kel, bringing the flames, bringing the fire. We're going to be filling out our March Madness bracket today, and exciting news, some of us haven't watched college basketball all year. Others of us have obsessively watched it all day, every single day. We won't tell you who's who, though. You'll have to just make
It's going to be so
up.
tough to figure out who of us has not watched much college basketball at all.
This is the beauty of a one-and-done tournament. The beauty of March Madness is it's not like the geniuses win every year in the March Madness pool. You know what? Sometimes I win. To help me fill it out from DNVR Rams, I've got Justin Michael.
How's it going, guys? Excited to get into it with you.
I didn't see the Rams on the bracket, though.
Yeah, this season was tough. I guess that's how we'll phrase it.
All right.
But ironically, when they were at full strength, they had a win over St. Mary's, which was the best win in the league this year.
Well, there you go. Take that, St. Mary's. Joining me from DNVR Nuggets, it's Superstar Dev.
I just love college basketball. College basketball is better than the NBA.
That's why you watch it so much?
That's why I watch it so much.
Again, not going to tell you which of us haven't been watching all year. And then over on the end, covering for the basketball team for DNVR Buffs, it's Will Darkey.
Yeah, I'm also super excited to be here. I see Justin's got the St. Peter's shirt on, and I feel like that's the perfect way to describe March Madness. No one knew they were going to be good last year, and they made the Elite Eight. So, let's try to say some things and then probably be wrong in a couple weeks.
My favorite part about the bracket is you fill something out and you'll have like a 7 seed, in your Final Four, and people are like, "You idiot! Are you kidding me?" And then, of course, there always is. If you just pick the favorites, of course, you're going to be crazy. But the way we're going to do this is we each have a bracket. So we're each filled out one quadrant of the bracket, and we're going to be the expert on that, and everybody else will kind of chime in. But before we do, we've partnered up here at DNVR with Run Your Poll. Do you have the graphic for this? We have a really cool competition going on. So everybody fills out brackets for a lot of different places. Some people make you pay money. We're actually, if you just use the scan on the lower third down there, you just scan it with your phone, it'll take you to our bracket where you're entered to win a whole host of prizes, including gear from DNVR, cash prizes, and a bunch of other stuff. But more importantly, you get to beat us or lose to us in the pool there. So it should be fun. Fill that out. And right now, as we go through this, super producer Kale is going to be filling out his own bracket based solely on the recommendations that we give him. What power here that if he wins, it's really like we won.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually count that as a win for myself.
But if you
on these brackets that everybody's involved in, people are like take it personal. They're like, I was so much better than Adam Mares.
That's right.
I was so much smarter than him. I should have a show.
I love when people do that one. I could do my own show here, guys. All right, we're going to start out in the East, which is my quadrant. And we're going to start with number 1, Purdue, versus number 16, Southern Texas. Purdue, they've got a 7'4" big man. Every year there's one monster that's in the tournament. Purdue is the team that has the monster. 7'4", Zach Edey, or Edey. Mason Gillis is a three-point shooter on their team who had a game with 9 threes in a game. He also had no other games with more than 3 threes, so I guess we can call that a streaky shooter. But I always like to note when you have a big game shooter there. They've been upset in their last 2 tournament appearances, including as a 13.5-point favorite and a 7.5-point favorite. So is it crazy that they would get upset right out of the gate? I don't know. Super slow-paced team, which always lends itself to being upset. My scouting report on Southern Texas is I don't know anything about them, but they're a 16 seed. So I am taking Purdue in the 1-16 matchup. So bold.
I respect it. I mean, Zach Edey is going to be the player of the year, so it's kind of tough to at least not advance him past Texas Southern.
There you go. So number 1, we're off to a good start. Next rep matchup, we have number 8 Memphis versus number 9 Florida Atlantic. Memphis, super athletic. They've got Kendrick Davis, scores 23 points per game, one of the best scorers in all of college, maybe one of the best scorers here. I always like when you have, the tournament so much can be about one guy getting hot and then you go on an upset run. They have a guy very much capable of that. They have a guy, DeAndre Williams, who's 26 years old.
That's the thing with Memphis. It's literally grown men out there playing under Penny Hardaway. They kind of have some fuck you to the way that they play. This is a slightly tough matchup against FAU, a team that won a lot of games this year. But, I mean, when you look at the level of talent and experience that Memphis brings to the table, I mean, I think that they should like where they're at, especially going into that 8-1. We'll talk about that later.
26 years old is for the tournament.
Yeah,
I'm 27, and I've been out of school for quite a while.
I mean, wait, how long? I mean, how old is Jamal Murray?
Yeah, he's like he's 25, I think.
That's what I was going to say. You just go into the NBA and guys that they have there. That's not a rookie or a sophomore. Like, they can't even play in the Rising Stars game. These are grown-ups going against these guys. So, like, that just has to lend into an advantage for sure.
Florida Atlantic's Conference USA champs. They were in the top 25 at one point this year, which is the first time in their team's history. So you get sort of a greatest team of a school's history. Very balanced. Leading scorer comes off of the bench. That's how balanced they are, which is kind of wild. They have 5 of their 6 key guys are all returning. So this is a team that has been there, done that. Lots of three-point shooting, great passing. I look at these notes, and I go, man, Florida Atlantic on paper has all the markings of a team that should upset you. Experience, three-point shooting, great passing. I'm sorry, guys. I'm suckered in. I'm taking them. Florida Atlantic as the upset.
I like it. Having fun. It's the 8-9. It's what it's all about. And honestly, every person that I've heard break down this matchup so far with Memphis, they've talked about it. They're like, I think FAU would be trickier for them than Purdue if they were to advance.
Interesting. How crazy is that of a take for you?
I don't think it's crazy at all. I really like Memphis, especially because of how they just kind of handled Houston yesterday in the American Championship. But FAU, I think they should be higher than a 9. I think they should be like at least a 6 or a 7 seed. They totally got underseeded just because of the name Florida Atlantic.
Right.
And so this is easily my favorite matchup of the first round.
Really?
Yeah.
The entire thing?
Yeah. I think it's just going to be like to the wire for the full 40 minutes. I think it's going to be so fun.
Moving on to Duke, number 5 Duke versus number 12 Oral Roberts. Duke has size, rebounding, offensive rebounding in particular, defense and shot blocking, but they're young and inexperienced, including their coach, John Shire, former Dookie. They're 16-0 at home, 7-8 away, and they have that 7-foot freshman, Kyle Flipowski, who is kind of a monster inside. So interior, young, super young team, both from coaching and players. Oral Roberts, on the other hand, they have three-point shooting, second most threes in NCAA. They also have experience. Some of the guys that were in that Oral Roberts run from a couple years back, still on the team. Fast-paced offense, not very good defense or rebounding, and Max Abmas, flamethrower, 2,500 career points. He was on the team back there. So you get an experienced tiny school, and you get an inexperienced one of the main schools. Classic matchup, 5-12.
Probably another instance of a team being a little bit underseeded with Duke. I was surprised they were a 5 seed, thought they were more like the 3 range. So a brutal draw, honestly, for Oral Roberts, who is a team that did not lose once in Summit League play or the Summit League tournament. You mentioned Max Abmas. He's a free flamethrower. They got Connor Vanover transferred in from Arkansas. It feels like a tough draw for a really fun Oral Roberts team.
Give me the pick for why this should be an upset.
Well, why this should be an upset is before the bracket was released, I was like, all right, I'm putting Duke far no matter what, and I'm putting Oral Roberts far no matter what. And then they got put together, and so now it's this. I don't even know what to do. I look at that matchup, and I'm so conflicted because Duke, I just really like the way all the young guys have gelled together down the stretch. They do have an experience, but this feels like the most put together group of young guys that Duke's had in at least a couple years. But with Oral Roberts, you saw Max Abmas do it 2 years ago. When they were a 15 seed, they went to the Sweet 16. They're much better now, I would say. I think they're more well-rounded, and that's why they got a 12 seed. But I think the one reason is the shooting. They can outshoot Duke in a game.
All right, that's it. I'm sold. I'm taking it. Oral Roberts, number 12. That's our 5-12 upset. Man, we're getting spicy already. Number 4, Tennessee versus 13, Louisiana. Tennessee, aggressive defense. They force an enormous amount of turnovers. Probably the best defense in college basketball. Inconsistent three-point shooting, and their point guard, how do I say his name? Zakai Ziegler is out, got injured late in the season, so they're missing a key guy. They did beat number 1 overall Alabama earlier in the year, so they have that under their belt. Louisiana, on the other hand, has low post scoring and offensive rebounding, a very good coach, and a great low post scorer in Jordan Brown. So this one's a little bit of a tough. I hate teams that not just lost their a key player, but a point guard in particular going into the tournament. To me, this has major upset potential.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Louisiana, I was higher on other teams in the Sun Belt, but then watching Louisiana in the Sun Belt tournament, I really liked what I saw. They've got a guard in Jordan Brown who could take over a game. He's kind of got that same thing you're talking about with Kendrick Davis on Memphis, where he could single-handedly lead them to a win. And yeah, Zakai Ziegler is just a huge loss. He wasn't only like a great facilitator for the team, but Tennessee can struggle to score, and he was one of their main offensive outputs. So I could kind of see their offense getting cold and an upset happening.
I'm doing it. I'm taking Louisiana. My bracket is going to be so drunk already. I've only got the 1 seed winning as the favorite so far. Number 6, Kentucky. Number 11, Providence. Kentucky offensive rebound, 3-point shooting versatility. They got a thick boy inside. Shibwe. That was a tough one. Providence, on the other hand, offensive rebounding, offensive efficiency, not necessarily great defensively, which makes me a little worried. I've gone crazy enough. Let's take Kentucky on this one.
It's funny. I had upsets where you would go the opposite way, and I had like Duke going to the Final Four. But
there you go. You know what? We have to keep it moving. Number 3, Kansas State versus number 14, Montana State. Kansas State forces turnovers. Overall defense is very good, and they get to the foul line. They're a little bit undersized, and they're turnover prone on offense. That's a very, very dangerous combination. With their point guard, super shifty New York style point guard. But they lose the 3-point battle. I always hate when good teams lose the 3-point battle. That's how you get upset in the tournament. Some team gets hot. On the other hand, though, is Montana State. I don't think they're going to get it done.
It's a good story. I love seeing little teams just get to make it to the tournament, but the biggest guy never does anything.
There you go.
They play against teams like Northern Colorado.
Yeah.
That's tough to go in there and have those type of have success in the March Madness.
Well, there you go. I'm going to take Kansas State. We get to Michigan State. Very efficient offense, 3-point shooting, and they have great guard play. A 2-man guard backcourt, Tyson Walker, Joey Hauser. They're not a good rebounding team, and they're kind of small. Did I miss who Michigan State is going up against? Oh, it's USC against USC. Here's the thing. I'm a big Michigan State believer, especially when you get the guard play. I think guard play obviously makes a big deal. You got the coaching, you got the pedigree, and you got 2 good guards. So I'm going to go with Michigan State on this one. And then Marquette versus Vermont. I'm just going to make it easy and go Marquette. Passing, good point guard play.
UVM, really high-powered offense. If you're talking about a team that could get hot and like potentially beat them, but this Marquette team is, they're potentially, a national championship contender. That would be a massive upset. I think you're spot on.
All right, there we go. So, Kale, what do we have as our next matchup here? Do you have the tournament pulled up? Are you filling it out?
So Purdue, Florida Atlantic.
This is taking longer than I thought. We're going to have to fly through these. Purdue and Florida Atlantic. Let's go with Purdue. As much as I want to pick, Purdue's like my least favorite team to go on. I don't want to keep going here, but I already predict one upset there. We got Oral Robertson. And
Louisiana Lafayette.
Man, this is my great 12 versus 13 here. I like it. Aggressive defense. Great 3-point defense, but streaky shooting against the experience of Oral Roberts. You know what? Cinderella story. Let's do it. Oral Roberts, they're back. We're going for it. Give me the win there. What's our next one?
Kentucky, Kansas State.
Whew.
Battle of the Wildcats.
Yeah, Battle of the Wildcats. Kentucky starts slow, coming on strong. You know what? I'm going to go with Kansas State. Overall defense and forcing turnovers, I like it. And then shifty New York point guard. That just sounds like a tournament run. Sounds like Kemba Walker run here. We'll go with it. And then what do we have?
Michigan State, Marquette.
Let's go with Michigan State. I'm going to ride them. I know Marquette is probably the pick here, but man, this bracket is going to be so out of whack. I got so many crazy picks in here. Okay, go for the next one.
Purdue, Oral Roberts.
God dang it, I'm really going to take Purdue. I can't believe I gave them the easiest possible route. Take Purdue. I can't keep going with Oral Roberts.
All right, you've got Kansas State, Michigan State.
Let's go with Kansas State.
And then Purdue, Kansas State.
Gosh dang it. You know what? Let's go with Kansas State. I was waiting for a chance to take Purdue to get beat. It'll be heading into the Final Four.
No, Kansas State's a great story, too. They got Keontae Johnson, who collapsed on the court 2 years ago at Florida. Didn't think he was going to play basketball again, and he transfers out of the SEC to Kansas State. And you didn't really know what he was going to be. Thought maybe like a role player, but he comes in, and he's playing like Big 12 first team level. And so he could be a guy that really just creates a good story if they make a run like you have them doing.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is it to see Kansas State in the Final Four?
If
Not
you
that crazy.
Not that crazy. They were picked to finish last in the Big 12, so it
That
would have been
sounds crazy.
Yeah, like at the beginning of the season they were, but they already like defied the odds and they finished like third.
I love it.
I think. So they've already proved people wrong once. Who's to say they can't do it again?
All right, let's take a quick break. On the other side, we're going to get to Will Darkey's predictions in his bracket, the Midwest.
This episode of the DNVR Sports Podcast is brought to you by Illegal Pete's. This March, donate by drinking. It's easy as that. Illegal Pete's is teaming up with Tito's and Denver's Youth on Record program to raise money for future musicians of Colorado. Youth on Record provides underprivileged children in the Denver community with music-based strengths and skills that give them the platform they need to accomplish their dreams. For the entire month of March, Illegal Pete's will be donating $1 to Youth on Record for every vodka fresh press sold. Stop by one of Illegal Pete's 10 Colorado locations, order a Tito's Fresh Press. Know your money is going to support Colorado's big next star. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. Shout out Illegal Pete's. I actually just got a sweet Illegal Pete's shirt. Also want to shout out the homies over at Manscaped, though. Manscaped, excuse me, trying to pull that up there. Can't see through here. Live radio. This is a public service announcement. Manscaped has the beard products going even further with the Weed Whacker 2.0. Go ahead and tell the world the leader in the below-the-waist grooming is traveling north of the South Pole with the revolutionary grooming products. The Weed Whacker 2.0 and their new beard line confirms they have all the best tools for hygiene. Check it out. Make sure you use the code DNVRBETS for 20% off plus free shipping. Guys, Manscaped is the best. I love all their products. The ball deodorant is life-changing. Out in Vegas, you're walking a bunch of miles. Loved it last week. Again, go to manscaped.com. Use that code DNVRBETS for 20% off. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com with that code DNVRBETS.
All righty, Will, walk us through the Midwest.
Yeah, so the Midwest, I think the big thing to know is there's injuries just kind of riddled all throughout the top seeds, which can cause some upsets. So the first one, you look at Houston, Northern Kentucky. It's a 116. I've been really high on Houston all year, so I'm going to pick Houston over Northern Kentucky. But the one thing to watch is Marcus Sasser, their star guard, American Player of the Year. Should be a first-rounder in the NBA. He went down with a groin injury in the semis. So
yikes.
He's kind of day-to-day. You don't really know what you're going to get, but they'll beat Northern Kentucky. Iowa, Auburn, just all the 8-9s this year, I feel like are incredible and just a total coin toss. And so I'm trying to look for just something. And the thing with Iowa Auburn is the location of this game. This game's in Birmingham, Alabama. So it is a short trip up the road for Auburn fans. Iowa, incredible offensive team, but their defense is just so bad. And so the way that I could kind of see this game playing out is Iowa maybe has a couple turnovers here and there. Auburn capitalizes on those because they're a scrappy, just tough defensive team. And this semi-home crowd that they will probably have will turn it into not as much of a neutral site game. So that's the way I'm leaning on the 8-9.
Okay.
Miami Drake.
Oh, no.
Miami, I really liked Miami. I like they've got senior guards that they brought them on a run last year in March. And they have Norchad Omier, who's this really good big man, but he also went down with an injury in the semis of the ACC tournament.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of up in the air, and they're staying very close to themselves about what his actual injury is, which makes it tough to make this pick. So I'm going to keep monitoring it throughout the week. I side with Miami, but just barely right now because I think with it being March, Norchad Omier plays, and I think they're just that matchup is a little too much for Drake, but if he doesn't play, then I really like Drake. They've got Tucker DeVries, who is the coach's son. He probably could have went elsewhere, but he decided to go and play with his dad. And he is Missouri Valley Player of the Year, and just he can kind of shoot the lights out and keep them in the game.
Does it influence you at all to know that super producer Kale went to Drake and would love if you picked Drake?
Heck, let's go Drake.
Let's go. We're going Drake. It sounded close enough that I thought I could persuade you.
I think if you look at the line right now, I think they're only 2.5-point underdogs as a 12-5.
Yeah.
So it's super close already.
I like it.
And I loved what I saw from Drake in the Missouri Valley tournament.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to have another 12-13 matchup in the second round.
Oh, let's go.
Kent State is taking down Indiana.
What?
They've like shown things here and there. They've got Trace Jackson Davis, who's just an elite big man, and then Jalen Hood-Schifino, who this freshman, I think he was a 5-star, maybe 4-star out of high school, who's really coming to his own. But it's just the two of them, and sometimes they don't show up. And I question like the heart of Indiana sometimes. It feels like they get lost out there a bit. And if Trace Jackson Davis and Jalen Hood-Schifino aren't scoring, not much else is happening. And I love this Kent State team. They played really closely against Houston, who's the 1 seed in this region. They also played closely against St. Mary's earlier in the year. When they've played tough competition, they've played them well, and they just took down Toledo in the MAC championship when Toledo was on a 17-game win streak. So they already were like a little bit of a giant killer, and I think they could even do it to Indiana here. So I'm going to go Kent State with the upset there.
Okay. I love it. I love these upsets. 12-13.
Yeah. And then Iowa State, they get the play-in of Mississippi State and Pitt. So just quick for Mississippi State and Pitt, it's two opposites. Pitt is just super offensive. They can catch fire and shoot the lights out of the gym. Mississippi State is purely defensive. They want to just get into this low-scoring slugfest. I think I side with Pitt just getting hot. I like the senior guard play there, so I'll put them through, and then I'll put them through against Iowa State too, because there's always there's a play-in that always then makes it to the round of 32. I don't know the specific stat, but it's only missed like once ever since they started the play-in, I think.
Will's bracket's crazier than mine already. I love this. He's got 11, 12, and 13. Let's go.
Yeah, and well, Iowa State, another one with Iowa State, they had a guard, Caleb Grill, who was on the team, and then he got dismissed. Like
Really weirdly.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. It was like a random Monday or Tuesday. He just got dismissed from the team for like violations.
Wow.
And so they've like kind of actually found some footing without him, but I still question.
Volatile.
They kind of are the same style of Mississippi State, just a little better, but like low scoring, really defensive. And I'll take Pitt to outshoot Iowa State.
Okay.
Xavier Kennesaw State. Kennesaw State, great story. They were like 1-28, I want to say 2 years ago. And so just a real turnaround for that program. First ever March Madness berth. But Xavier, I just think they're too much for them.
Where the heck is Kennesaw State?
Ooh.
Georgia,
Yeah.
if I had to guess.
They're in the A-Sun. So
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Georgia.
they're down by the Atlantic where it's sunny. That's all I can say.
It is Georgia. Kennesaw, Georgia. There you go.
There we go. So, yeah, I don't know. Kennesaw State, great story, but I think Xavier's just a little too much for them. They got Sean Miller, who used to be Arizona's coach.
Okay.
Texas A&M, Penn State, that's another one of my favorite matchups of the round of 64. Both teams just on fire currently. They both made it to the championship game of their conference tournaments, but I'm going to ride the hotter hand of Texas A&M. I think they should have been seated higher, like a 6 or a 5. And if you look at like the advanced metrics like Bart Torvik, and you can like kind of sort it to a specific time. If you look at like the beginning of 2023, they're like a top 10 team in the nation.
Okay.
So I really like how Texas A&M's trending. And then Texas Colgate. Texas just kind of steamrolled Kansas twice in the past week. They're not going to lose to Colgate.
That's right.
Think.
Yeah.
And so then,
How much did they climb to the 2 seed then by winning the tournament?
I think I thought they were solidified at the 2 seed, and I thought winning that could have maybe given them the chance to get the 1, but they didn't make the jump. So yeah. And then second round, I've got Houston, Auburn, and it's tough because Auburn gets another semi-home game, but I'm gonna lean Houston. They're just
Even with the injuries?
Even with the injury, I think he's back. I think Marcus Sasser, they probably sit him for the 116 game because it's a 116, and then hopefully he's good by then.
Okay.
And even if he's not good by then, I still think Houston's a better team than Auburn. Auburn they've been so lackluster to me this year, but the one thing is I love home court advantage, and they kind of have that in March, which is just weird. Then Drake, Kent State. I'm going to go with Kent State.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Kale, but...
He snuck Drake in barely anyway.
Yeah,
no. Alrighty.
Drake had a good run, but I'm so high on this Kent State team. I also forgot to mention Sincere Carries, this guard that they have, and he's such a fun guard to watch. So I'll go Kent State to the Sweet 16. Then I've got, Pitt versus Xavier. I'm going to go Xavier. I think, again, I'm just going with the more well-rounded team. And
Okay.
then Texas A&M Texas is an incredibly
I
fun
love it.
matchup.
Oh,
It's
man.
an old Big 12 matchup.
There's a lot of
Texas
Texas
A&M.
teams in this region.
Yeah.
There really
right
is.
here.
You got Texas A&M, Texas, and Houston. I'm going to go Texas
Okay.
just because I like the way they're playing lately. And
Okay.
so then what do you got? You got
Texas
Houston.
is a team that usually gets like upset in March Madness, right? Like they lose in like some
That's
the
sad
historical
fashions.
with different coaches
Yeah.
and everything else.
But it's like
No,
recently,
it is
right?
a completely different coach now. They fired
sure.
Chris Beard in December,
Yeah.
so this is the Rodney Terry show, and
There you go.
I like what I've seen from him. But yeah, so we got then Houston versus Kent State in the Sweet 16.
What is this? I love it.
Houston's gonna be. I still think Houston's too much. They played earlier this year, and it was a good close matchup. But I think Houston's too much, so I'm gonna put Houston through, and
Okay.
then Xavier, Texas. Give me Texas.
Okay.
Um,
Ooh, Houston
And then
and
we got-
Texas.
a Houston Texas matchup. Winner gets to then go to Houston for the Final Four.
To get Jim Nance, a Houston alum, on
Yes,
the call.
just it's the Texas fiasco. I don't know. It's tough. I'm gonna side with Texas though.
I think it's a good call.
I like the Texas just has so many senior guys that I really like the way they're playing. They play like an entire team, and so I'll lean Texas to the Final Four.
And
I
the
like-
uncertainty of Sasser, I think, is it's basically 2 years in a row where it's like maybe if they get far enough, Houston will get Sasser back, and then if they do, then they're good enough to win it all. But without him, I just getting through that Texas team as hot as they are right now.
I like it. Both of us in our brackets have some pretty major upsets here. So we're predicting unpredictability in the Midwest and in the East. Let's take a break on the other side. You're West?
I'm south.
You're South.
I'm
All right.
south.
The next break, we'll get to the South and hear from Superstar Dev.
You guys know we love our Breck Brews here at DNVR. Breck Brew has a beer for any occasion. They've been doing it for 32 years, and it all comes down to their love and passion for making good beer. It's made with 100% renewable energy. We stand a globally conscious company. And what's great is just the variety that they offer. You can go Mountain Beach, which is our guy Jake Schwanitz's favorite. You can go with a classic Avalanche Amber Ale, Nuggets playoffs, Michael Porter Jr., whatever you want, though. It's awesome because you can find it at the Breck beer locator that is on breckbrew.com. Take all the inconvenience out of beer shopping. I was telling you, there's nothing better than Breck Brew. We're also excited to partner with our friends over at Circle K. Check out your local Circle K for the best coffee, beer, snack selection, and premium gas. Look out for freebies and giveaways down the road. I don't know. I love convenience stores in general. Like, I'm not a big have to go into a grocery store. Circle K is the best because they have all the snacks. They've got cheap coffee, but it's good. And shout out to Circle K for sponsoring DNVR. Visit the nearest Circle K to pick up all your favorite finds.
There you go. All right, Dev, take us South.
So on the South, first off, let me tell you guys, I am not a big upset guy.
Oh, no.
I'm not a big upset guy.
Okay.
Also, I go off of historical things when it comes to March Madness. If I've been burned by a team in the past before, I'm not big on them.
never forgive
Oh,
them.
man, Michigan State has done me bad every single year. Guess who does not pick Michigan State? Every single time.
That is them, though. It's like literally it's out in the round of 64 or they're going to the
they're
Elite
going to
Eight.
the four-
It just
Nothing in
happens
between.
every single time. So, like, I'm a big name guy. That's
that
just
what
been
it is?
that's my thing
Okay.
all the time.
Yeah.
So when I look at this region, I look at all the big names
can't
in the
wait.
region. The number one seed is Alabama. We all know the Alabama story is crazy. Like their best player, who was an NBA player, was just almost in jail for this madness. They're also going through losing a teammate that is now in jail. So I think it's just crazy that they're having to go through that. But they're the best team over here, and I am going to ride them to the championship. I just think that they have overcome a lot with this team, so I am going to ride them the entire way. Arizona, they're playing their best basketball right now. They're the Pac-12 champions. They're a team that has like ups and downs, but also like they're just very, very talented. I do think that there's going to be a 1 versus 2 matchup.
Spoiler
in this.
alert.
Yep, just to look at it down the road. One of the matchups that I do like is San Diego State. I think that this is an intriguing 5 seed that actually can win some games. So if there is an upset that we're going to get to, I think that it will be with San Diego State.
We all picked a 5-12 so far. The 5 seeds are 0 for 3 so far in our predictions.
And this is going to be the
And
most
Mike-
popular 12-5 upset pick just because Charleston's the fun national story.
They're good.
They are good, but so's the San Diego State team, man.
Yeah.
They defend, and they've got 10 dudes that could start most places in the country.
And Orlando to Charleston is also regionally close.
That's what I was
It'll
gonna
be a
say.
home game
That
for
is
Charleston.
a far trip for San Diego State.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep. So then we go to Baylor. We talk about historical. This is a team that just won the championship 2 years ago. So I'm not going against that. Like, I just can't. They have the same players, probably. You know,
I should have taken Duke for their history. What do I think?
I would have. I'm just telling you what I would have done with this. Like, I think there's some like really good players. Like, I mean, I love Brandon Miller in this. Also, Maryland versus West Virginia is going to be an incredible matchup. Virginia, they're the best defensive team every single year. You don't have to know their history for that. You just know every single year they're going to be one of the best defensive teams. So let's take a look at like the actual bracket just to see how we're going to get through this. I'm going to have my boy Will help me on this, just because I'm not good with any of these upsets. But I want to get an upset or two.
Did we already get all of? Did we get all of the first round, Kale, in the South?
We didn't pick Creighton, NC State.
With Creighton, I'm going to choose Creighton just because I love Trey Alexander. I love Trey Alexander.
Trey Alexander's a fun player.
Oh,
Maybe
man.
the best starting
So,
five in the
I think that
country.
they had the best high school AAU team I have ever seen in my life. They had KJ Adams from Kansas. What's crazy? I mean, BYU's best player was on there. Jackson Robinson was on this team. Like, they had a squad. Bajan Cortez, I think he goes to Oklahoma. They had a really good team, so I'm like always going to be on them. Also, they have McDermott's dad. So I mean.
Okay, there we go.
Big
I'm
bucket.
sold.
So I'm going to go with Creighton also on that.
We also have Maryland, West Virginia, and Missouri, Utah State.
So for Maryland, West Virginia, I'll do an upset here. West Virginia, give me the number 9 team.
Wow, he's so bold.
Give me the number 9 team. I'm going to step out
Yeah.
on myself.
This is crazy.
I've always been like a West Virginia guy, even in football.
Really?
I root for them.
That's really
Shout out
strange to me.
Morgantown.
Yeah.
Old Pitt snuggle.
What are we missing? Give me another.
Missouri, Utah State.
7-10 matchup.
I'm going to go with the 7 team. We're not giving all upsets here.
What upset?
We're going to go
over the 8.
with Missouri.
I love
Missouri
it.
has a Colorado guy, I want to say. Ronnie DeGray is at Missouri.
Okay.
Or he was.
So you gotta stick with
I don't know if
them.
he plays anymore. But yeah, that's my Missouri connection.
So you got ties, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my tie. So I'm going to go with the 7. 7 there.
All right.
Utah State, one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the country. Just throwing it out there.
Every single year, the 3-point team, they always do make a run. Wofford is like the last time that I could think of a 3-point team. I'm going to go against them. Just don't think that it's going to last year.
All right, round 2. Alabama, West Virginia.
Yeah, Alabama's going to win this. I am riding them the entire way, really, honestly. I think that's they have the best player, so they're going to win that. We go down to what is it, San Diego State, or we got Charleston. We got that upset, right?
Okay.
Is that what you want?
Is that what he picked? Did he pick Charleston on that one, Kale?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Charleston and Virginia.
We're gonna go with Charleston again.
Well, look
let's
at him.
ride.
I
Let's
bullied
ride
him
Charleston.
into getting crazy.
Let's ride Charleston.
All right. Do we have 3 12 seeds?
12 seeds are going to be winning.
Sweet 16.
It's going to be the year of the 12.
I put a 13.
Oh,
to the
you
Sweet
put
16.
13. Yeah, your 12 gets upset.
I mean,
All right.
Tom Brady retired, so we got to ride with 12 this year. Like,
Well,
it's
you
just the
ruined the
year
show.
of
You
12,
ruined it.
man.
You ruined
oh,
it.
my bad. What do we have up next?
Creighton, Baylor.
Creighton.
Baylor was good those years back, remember?
They were champs
They
2
were
years
champs,
ago.
man.
We're going to go with Baylor on this one. We're going to go with Baylor.
They got incredible guards, too. So they're a really fun team to watch.
Yeah, Baylor's going to be it. What do we have next?
Arizona.
Arizona. We're going to go with Arizona, the number 2 team. Missouri, I only got for Ronnie DeGray. I don't know if they're actually good.
Okay, there you go. I like it. All right, what's next?
Alabama, Charleston.
Alabama in a landslide. It's going to be a blowout.
I like that you set it up so it was easy when you got to this stage.
Oh, this is a blowout of here.
And then you've got Baylor, Arizona.
Ooh.
Baylor, Arizona. I'm going to go with Arizona. I think that it's going to be a 1-2 matchup.
Okay. And then where do you go?
And then I'm going to go Alabama. I'm riding them the entire way. I already said that multiple times. Like, it's good. This is like out of like a 50 Cent. You guys know 50 Cent.
Oh, of
right?
course, man.
Yeah, 50
My
Cent.
guy.
So the show I watch is Power. they always have some crazy story. Like, they don't know how the best player is, like, living a double life. But
Okay.
he just decides to get it done on the court, and then everything is all eyes on him. So I think that this is going to be the same thing with Brandon Miller.
All right, man.
I mean, he
What
did
a
drop
tough
like
prediction.
40.
I don't want to touch it. He's really good, though.
Yeah.
He's
Like,
a stud.
when in the midst of all of this chaos, like, he did come out on the road and play his best game of the season. Like, he seems to have kind of been able to compartmentalize this whole thing and, like, just kind of focus. And honestly, as much as it may rub some people the wrong way, like, under Nate Oates, like, Alabama is kind of the perfect villain situation where they're kind of just like, we're really good and we don't really care that the rest of the country doesn't want us to win because we're going to win anyways.
I think it helps that their football team also just has pissed people off for like over a decade now.
Right.
So
There you go. All right, you have 9 minutes to run through the West, Justin.
Which is unfortunate because it's the best region of the tournament. But we've got Kansas, who probably got snubbed and should have gone to the Midwest and basically gotten home games, but instead is going to be taking on Howard. We're not picking the 16 seed here. Kansas just too good. Arkansas, Illinois, 8-9 is really interesting because talent-wise, both of these teams probably on par with anybody in this tournament. They're also as inconsistent as it gets. Neither team very efficient, especially from three. It's one of those, like, if Mayer gets hot from deep for Illinois, you could see it. If Arkansas is playing up-tempo, you could see them getting hot. I lean Arkansas just because I have a hard time trusting Illinois at this time. That said, Arkansas really kind of stumbled. I think they've lost 6 of 9. They've lost 3 straight overall.
Okay.
Not hot going in. 5-12 is a really intriguing game.
Oh, man, can you do this? Can we go 3 for 3 or 4 for 4?
It could happen. I mean, VCU over St. Mary's is certainly possible. Defensively, they're great. They've won 9 straight, one of the hottest teams in the country. I got to roll with the Gales, though. I got to go the 5 seed in St. Mary's. I think under Randy Bennett, they're too solid both ways. They shoot the ball well. They defend like crazy.
You know what this is? This is a classic. You said CSU beat them.
They did. It was their only good win.
This is the classic. They're going all the way, and CSU should have won
to make
the whole
CSU
thing.
look good.
The whole thing. I'm just messing.
They're 11th in KenPom, so the metrics love
Oh,
them. UConn 4 versus Iona 13. This might be the most intriguing game just in terms of head coaches. You've got Danny Hurley versus Slick Rick Pitino. Iona better than they would normally be under these circumstances, but UConn is really good. They're top 20 in defensive and offensive efficiency and rebound rate. I just have a hard time seeing Iona get through them as much as I like Rick Pitino. March is about players more than coaches, in my opinion.
Feels like a hot take.
TCU, 6 seed. I like them getting through whoever makes it out of that ASU Nevada. I will say Nevada has the offense to kind of get hot and make things interesting. They did not close the season well defensively. They worry me a little bit. And TCU they just play a million miles an hour. Like, basically their entire offense is just dunks and getting fouled. And that's fine. It works out really well for them, but they play really hard. And I think they're really dangerous. So I'm going with TCU there.
Okay.
Finally, we've got Gonzaga versus GCU. This game will be in Denver. I will be at that one, looking forward to it. Gonzaga, one of the best offenses in the country. You have an experienced big in Drew Timme. They've been there before. Defensively, they looked really good in the WCC tournament. This season, though, they have not really been solid defensively, and that makes me nervous. I think they should win, even against a hot shooting GCU team who could definitely make things interesting. But I'll go with Gonzaga. Upset, I'm going to go with Boise State, the 10 over Northwestern.
This your first upset?
It might be.
I think it is. All right.
Might be.
7-10.
I actually watch college basketball, though. Boise State, they're just really complete with Tyson Degenhart. It's kind of like a point forward. They've also got a nice little combo with Marcus Shaver they can get going. Max Rice, coach's son. When he gets hot from deep, they're really hard to beat. They're much more stout defensively than I expected. I just have a hard time seeing Northwestern score with this Boise State team, especially when they get going. I'm going with the Broncos. UNC Asheville, I'm not going to take the 15 seed to upset the 2. UCLA might struggle with them just a little bit. They're a really tough team. They added some transfers. They've got good length. And UCLA is kind of a weird team where they almost always start slow. Like, every game at halftime is going to be kind of tight. It wouldn't surprise me even if it's just like a 2-3 point game and then you live bet UCLA and you get that value and they pull out in the second half. But I like the Bruins, but just watch it. It could be a really fun game with Asheville.
Yeah, I think UNC Asheville could be this year's St. Peter's if you're trying to look for a St. Peter's, because UCLA also just potentially lost to Dem Bona, their star big man, and UNC Asheville has Big South Conference Player of the Year Drew Pember, who, if a Dem Bona's out, Drew Pember could kind of exploit that, and he could be the guy that makes the upset happen.
We're just saying, we see it. We see that we
We're
see
not
it.
calling it.
We're not calling it, but
But
it could happen. I mean, UCLA, they're already missing guys. Plus, Jalen Clark's not going to be out there. It's going to be interesting. All right, let's keep it moving, though. I got Kansas advancing past Arkansas. I just think Kansas is too good. I mean, you worry a little bit about them not hitting the threes, but they've got more Q1 wins than anybody in the country. Defensively, they're really locked in. Love Jalen Wilson. I've got St. Mary's upsetting UConn as a 5 seed going to the Sweet 16. I struggle with it. I might change that by the time it comes around just because I just mentioned all the metrics that I love with UConn. I think they're just a really complete team. I just think the St. Mary's team is tough as hell. They allow like 60 points a game, and it's the type of, as long as they're controlling the pace, they're going to be in any game, and I like that. I've got TCU upsetting Gonzaga as a 6 seed going on. I really like Gonzaga offensively, and if Timmy gets going, who knows? I just have a hard time seeing them slow down this fast-paced TCU offense, and I think they could get bullied a little bit, which has kind of been the problem for Gonzaga in these big matchups. I'm not a Gonzaga hater, not one of those guys, but I just think it's kind of a tough draw for them, especially this year. They're not quite as athletic as some of those Gonzaga teams from a couple years ago. I've got UCLA beating Boise State, but again, Boise State as a 10 seed is a team I really do think could make a run. I just think UCLA, so long as they're whole with Tiger Campbell and some of these guys, I just think they have enough experience to kind of get through here, get to that next matchup. I've got Kansas moving past St. Mary's, all the points I already talked about. I've got UCLA beating TCU, and then I've got Kansas advancing past UCLA to get to the title game.
Does Kansas have an easy route of all those, what you just went through? I mean, they'd play basically the top seeds they would face would be St. Mary's and UCLA.
Yeah, I think it's somewhat favorable. If you're Kansas, you're just worried about like a team getting really hot from deep, basically, and them not being hot that day. That's really the only way that they've lost, other than when TCU came into Allen Fieldhouse and then pretty much just bullied them. But yeah, it's pretty favorable for Kansas. Historically, that's kind of when they choke. If you want to go the route of like when it feels good for Kansas, it's usually not.
Oh no. All right, I like it. So our brackets, we have some, I would say, on the safer side, some on the wilder side. Let's get to our final four here, and I'll let the pros, I'm going to sit this one out, let the pros handle it. So Alabama and Kansas State, if this were to be a matchup, I'll go to you first, Will. How would you see this matchup playing out?
Like Dev was saying, it's Brandon Miller. I think they've got too much on this Alabama team. Alabama they like to play quick. They like to just shoot a ton of threes. And I think if they're already in the Final Four, they've just kind of gotten into a groove, and I don't see Kansas State being the team to stop them. So I'd go Alabama to the national championship.
What do you think, Justin?
Yeah, I think he's spot on. I mean, K-State is a top 20 team in terms of defensive efficiency, so it's not like they're a poor defensive team, but this Alabama team, with just the pace that they play at, it's relentless, and Kansas State does not have anybody remotely as talented as Brandon Miller, and ultimately, like, he's the best player in this tournament by a wide mark.
Yeah, I think that's what it comes down to with all of these teams. Do you have a guy that can stop Brandon Miller? The answer is typically no. Unless you're Virginia, they're like the only team that...
And they might not have the offense to get out of the first round, so it's just a really weird spot.
Especially with your best player being on a team that plays free, that plays loose, that gets out and runs. Even if you do have a guy that can slow him, that can stop him, now the other guys are getting loose. You can't double team a squad that has an NBA caliber player right now that also other guys are able to contribute. So that's why I like that one.
And even when you do stop him, he gets a ton of offensive rebounds. He follows his own shots. Like, they're just a really tiring team to play.
We go to the other side. We get Kansas versus Texas, a classic throwback Big 12 matchup. Where do you go there, Justin?
I mean, we've seen them play 3 times this year. I think Texas took 2 out of the 3.
Do they kind of own them? Is that matchup?
It's just been... Yeah, I mean, the Big 12 was so deep this year, they all just kind of cannibalized each other. Like, everybody won at home, everybody lost on the road. When Kansas is playing its best basketball, I think they're the better team in this matchup. I just think they're deeper. They have the experience. I really love what they bring to the table defensively. Texas is really hot, though, right now. And playing under Rodney Terry, I mean, they beat them pretty convincingly in the Big 12 title game.
Well, there you go. What do you think, Will?
It's tough because, Texas, it'd be easy to pick Texas just because they've rolled Kansas by like 20 or more twice the past week. But I do trust Rodney Terry to get to the Final Four, but once all the bright lights are on and it's Rodney Terry versus Bill Self, it's tough to not side with Bill Self, especially because Bill Self didn't coach this past game where they got beat by
That's
Texas.
right.
He was in the
Yeah,
hospital.
that's
So,
right.
But he's out of the hospital, so he should be good to coach for March Madness. I think I lean Kansas just with the experience. But it's a total coin flip because those teams have matched up so well
And the
this year.
familiarity, like there would be no secrets in that game.
Well, what do you know, guys? 2 number 1 seeds in the finals. Man, we went so bold. Alabama and Kansas. Dev, you want to take a first stab at this one?
Yeah, Alabama. I don't think that Kansas is going to make it this far, so I think that's why it makes it a little bit tough. With the Kansas squad, though, I do like I like Grady Dick. I really like their best players. What, Caleb Wilson?
Jalen Wilson.
Jalen Wilson. I like Wilson. I like how I think he's an NBA player right now as well. I think that they have a really deep group. My favorite player on that squad is DeJuan Harris Jr. I just think that he brings
He's a dog.
a high IQ guard that's a dog. He really is getting after it every single time. But I just don't think that they have enough to score with these other teams. When things don't go well for them, they're not able to adjust. So I think they're going to lose earlier, which makes it easy for me to choose against them.
Alabama, I mean, do they feel like heavy favorites?
I wouldn't say heavy favorites, but this year's been so up and down. No team's really stuck out all that much. And I think just with the adversity that Alabama's kind of faced down this final stretch with the whole Brandon Miller situation, how they've still kind of dominated throughout it. It's tough to just not side with them and think that they won't show up in the biggest of moments. So I think I also lean Alabama over Kansas.
I'll go with the Jayhawks. Why not? That's we can't have a consensus. That's not any fun. I mean, I think that Dev's points are spot on with Kansas. They have struggled to adjust offensively. I think Grady Dick being like a 12 to 20 point a night game or per game will be really huge for them. If he's not hitting threes, they're probably in trouble. And we saw when they struggled, against Texas and some of those Big 12 matchups, it was because the teams were able to limit him. If he gets going and the offense gets flowing, I think Kansas could bring it. But as they mentioned, I mean, Bama's just been a machine, and they're playing their best ball in spite of some unique circumstances. We'll just say it that way.
I was going to go Kansas as well, which now puts us gridlocked, which you know what that means. We have to go to super producer Kale to pick our bracket winner. Oh, my God. What power. Kale says Alabama, no hesitation. It looks like Alabama is our collective winner. This is weird, filling out a bracket with 4 people. You know what?
I think it's a lot better. I think I'm going to do much better this year when I run it back and just hear things out. Because usually I guess blindly.
go.
I'm just going every single time. I'm stuck on this one. Who has a better seed? I'll choose them.
I'm feeling really good about the South and the East. These guys over here, I feel like they didn't know what they were talking about. I feel like we brought the expertise.
Hey, it's not called March calmness. You got to pick the upsets.
It's like fantasy football. Your wife will probably win the league who didn't watch the game, and if you spend 4 hours trying to fill out your lineup, you're going to come in dead last.
My wife watched way more than I did this year. Guys, honestly, the bracket's fun. It's the one part of monoculture in sports where everybody participates, and we want you to participate with us. Kale, throw it back on the board there. Run your pool. Link will be in the description of the show, both in podcast form and on YouTube. Come play with us. You think our bracket is crazy? Prove it by signing up to try to beat us in the Run the Pool Bracket Challenge. Thanks, everybody. Hit the like button on the way out. We'll see you guys next time.